He was mocked in a language he was never supposed to understand. In the most exclusive restaurant in New York, Russian billionaire Viktor Orlov tried to seal a $4 billion deal. To impress his partners, he belittled the black waiter serving his table with a cruel joke in Russian, sure of his superiority. But he never imagined that waiter, a broken man hiding from his past, was more fluent in Russian than he was, and that his reply wouldn't just cost him the deal, but resurrect a ghost Orlov thought he'd buried a decade ago. If you believe the quietest person in the room is often the most dangerous, subscribe, because this story proves that the past never truly dies. Imagine this. You exist in a world meticulously crafted to erase you. 26 floors above the frantic pulse of Manhattan, the private dining room at Ethel is not just a room, it's a vacuum-sealed sanctuary for the gods of capital. The silence here is a texture, thick and heavy, broken only by the delicate clink of Christophe silver against Limoges porcelain and the hushed, conspiratorial whispers of men who move markets with a single word. The air itself smells of power, a complex bouquet of old leather, vintage cognac, and the faint, ozonic hum of immense, concentrated wealth. Your name is Kaylin Adebayo. Here, you are not a name, you are a function, a pair of hands, a shadow in a starched black uniform. For 8 hours a night, you perform a sacred ballet of service. Your movements are a study in controlled grace. Each step measured, each gesture precise. You align a fork with the concentration of a bomb disposal expert because precision is the only thing that keeps the chaos at bay. The chaos is always there, waiting behind your eyes, a flickering reel of memories from another life. A life of shadows and whispers, of cold dawns in colder cities, of a language that tasted of betrayal. This life, this fortress of quiet servitude, is your penance. It is your hiding place before service. In the cacophonous stainless steel world of the kitchen, the clang of a dropped sauté pan sends a jolt through your nervous system. For a fraction of a second, the image is not of a pan, but of a prison door slamming shut in a damp Budapest cellar. You close your eyes, your knuckles white as you grip the edge of a prep counter. You focus on the rhythm of the dishwasher, the rhythmic chop of a chef's knife, and you drag yourself back to the present. You are not that man anymore. You are a waiter. You are safe because you are invisible. Tonight, the air in the private room is charged with a unique, predatory energy. Your focus is on table 1. At its head sits Viktor Orlov. He did not enter the room, he conquered it. A man in his early 50s with the broad shoulders of a bear and the dead, watchful eyes of a shark. He is a titan of the old world energy sector, an oligarch forged in the brutal crucible of post-Soviet Russia. His every gesture is an assertion of dominance. From the way he dismisses the sommelier's recommendation with a flick of his wrist to the way his laughter booms, consuming all other sound. Across from him, an island of calm in his turbulent ocean, is Anya Petrova. She is the CEO of Solstice Renewables, a company that represents everything Orlov is not: innovative, ethical, forward-thinking. Her company is the future. His is the brutal, extractive past. And yet, she is here, at his table. You see the conflict in her, the pragmatist warring with the idealist. Solstice is on the verge of a breakthrough, a new battery technology that could change the world, but it is bleeding capital. Orlov is not just a lifeline, he is a tidal wave of cash. She is considering selling her soul to save her dream. The deal, you know from the hushed gossip of the staff, is worth $4 billion. A full acquisition. The leather-bound contract on the table is not a partnership agreement. It is a death certificate for Solstice Renewables as the world knows it. Orlov is impatient, his charm wearing thin, revealing the raw aggression beneath. The negotiations have hit a snag. Anya is insisting on an ethics clause, an independent oversight committee to monitor environmental and labor practices post-merger. Orlov finds this amusing. He leans back, a theatrical smirk on his face. "My dear Anya," he says, his Russian accent thick as molasses, "ethics are a beautiful decoration, like flowers, but you do not build a skyscraper with flowers. You build it with steel and concrete and the will to crush whatever is in your way." He signals for more wine, his fingers snapping in the air. The sound cracks through the quiet room like a whip. You move forward, your expression serene. The bottle of 1998 Chateau Petrus steady in your hand. You are a ghost, a machine. You feel nothing. As you lean in to pour, Orlov turns to his right-hand man, a severe, grim-faced man named Dmitri. Believing himself completely insulated by the shield of his native language, he speaks freely. He doesn't bother to lower his voice. Why would he? The help is deaf, dumb, and inanimate. A tool. He nods in your direction, his eyes filled with a casual, bored cruelty. "Посмотри на это. Американцы ставят их прислуживать, потому что у них нет ничего за глазами. Look at this. The Americans let them serve because there is nothing behind their eyes." He pauses, then adds the final, dismissive stroke. "Эта темная марионетка даже не слушает. У него нет души, только руки, чтобы наливать вино." This dark puppet isn't even listening. He doesn't have a soul, only hands to pour the wine. The words do not register as sound. They land like shrapnel, each syllable a hot, jagged piece of metal that tears through the carefully constructed walls of your fortress. The ghost in the Budapest cellar stirs. The man you thought you had buried begins to claw his way out from a shallow grave. Your hand, impossibly, remains steady. The deep red wine flows into the crystal glass in a perfect, silent stream. You do not spill a drop. You straighten up, give a slight, almost imperceptible nod, and retreat to your station in the shadows. The mask is still in place, but behind it, a decision has been made. Tonight, you are not just a waiter. You are a witness, and soon you will be a judge. The world contracts to the dimensions of the table. Your senses, long dormant and deliberately dulled, sharpen to a razor's edge. This is familiar territory, the meticulous observation, the parsing of language for subtext, the art of reading the subtle shifts in power dynamics. It's a muscle memory you thought had atrophied. You are no longer just serving dinner. You are gathering intelligence. The main performance continues in English. Orlov, the magnanimous conqueror, speaks of synergy and streamlining operations. Anya, the guarded defender, counters with talk of corporate culture and sustainable growth. Her CFO, Julian Croft, a man with a nervous smile and eyes that shift too quickly, plays the role of the mediator, his words like oil poured on troubled waters, smoothing over the friction between them. Anya, Victor has made some very valid points about market realities, he says, his tone placating. We have to be pragmatic. But the real negotiation, the one steeped in truth and venom, happens in Russian. You move around the table, a silent satellite, collecting fragments of their true intent. The environmental surveys are a work of art, Dmitry Orlov's aide murmurs as you refill his water. Our geological team estimates the lithium deposits under the Wyoming facility are worth 10 times the acquisition price alone. The fools are sitting on a gold mine and calling it a field of wildflowers. Lithium, not solar panels, not battery technology. A raw materials grab. The green energy company is not the prize. It is the wrapping paper designed to be torn away and discarded. Solstice Renewables is the perfect cover, an eco-friendly facade to hide a strip mining operation that would bleed toxins into the water table of 3 states. The scale of the deception is breathtaking. You glance at Anya. She is arguing passionately about preserving her company's B Corp certification, a symbol of its commitment to social and environmental standards. She has no idea she is negotiating the terms of her own company's funeral. She is trying to save its soul, while Orlov is simply trying to buy its corpse to get to the bones beneath. The bond you begin to forge with her is not one of words, but of calculated actions. As Orlov grows more aggressive, leaning across the table, his voice rising as he tries to steamroll her on a point about market consolidation, you execute your first move. As you reach to clear a side plate, your elbow accidentally nudges a heavy silver water pitcher. A single, perfectly formed cube of ice jumps from its lip and lands on the back of Orlov's hand. The cold shock is minute, but his tirade halts mid-syllable. He flinches, a microsecond of broken concentration. "My sincerest apologies, sir," you say, your voice a model of professional contrition. Orlov glares at you, his eyes promising retribution, but the moment is deniable. It was an accident, but it was enough. The brief interruption has shattered his momentum. It gives Anya the exact second she needs to collect her thoughts and parry his argument with a sharp, data-driven rebuttal that leaves him momentarily speechless. As you retreat, you catch her eye. She gives a slight, almost imperceptible frown, not of anger, but of curiosity. She noticed. She doesn't know what she noticed, but she saw the deliberateness in the accident. You begin to use your service as a subtle punctuation to the conversation. When Julian Croft, her own CFO, starts to speak, siding with Orlov, pressuring her to concede, you approach his side of the table. As he says, "Anya, we have to be realistic about the timeline for profitability." You place a new wine glass on the table with a soft, resonant click that is just loud enough to draw the ear. It underlines his words, framing them. You are silently telling her, "Listen to this man. Listen to what he is really saying." The conversation in Russian continues, and you learn the true depth of the betrayal. "Croft obошелся нам дорого, но он того стоит," Sergei, the other aide, says to Orlov. "Он передал нам их финансовые прогнозы за последние 6 месяцев. Без него мы бы не знали, насколько они в отчаянии." Croft was expensive, but he was worth it. He has been feeding us their financial projections for the past 6 months. Without him, we wouldn't know how desperate they truly are. Julian Croft, the trusted advisor, the mediator, he is a traitor. He has sold her out from the inside. You look at Anya, now truly alone at this table, surrounded by predators and a viper she believes is on her side. A wave of cold fury washes over you, and with it, a memory. Imagine this. The air is thick with the smell of damp concrete and cheap disinfectant. You are in a cellar in Budapest. Your hands are bound. Across from you, your partner, Mikhail, is being interrogated. You were the linguist, the analyst. He was the field operative. You made a mistake in a translation, a single word that sent his team into an ambush. You were captured. He took the fall, enduring hours of questioning to give you time, never once giving you up. You can still hear the sound of his breathing, ragged and broken, and the cold, calm voice of the interrogator, speaking in the same cultured, brutal Russian that Orlov now uses. You escaped. Mikhail did not. The guilt of that failure has been the ghost that has haunted you for a decade. You see Mikhail's face superimposed over Anya's. You failed to protect your partner then. You will not fail this woman now. The internal vow strengthens your resolve. When Orlov summons you next, there is a new steel in your spine that wasn't there before. He senses it. Men like Orlov are predators. They are attuned to the subtle shifts in fear and confidence. Your lack of fear, your unnerving calm, begins to irritate him. It is an anomaly he cannot process. A waiter should be deferential. A black man, in his worldview, should be invisible or intimidated. You are neither. He decides to correct this anomaly. The main course has been cleared, and you are serving coffee. As you lean forward to place a demi-tasse cup in front of him, his hand snakes out and seizes your wrist. The grip is not just a display of dominance this time, it is a punishment. The pressure is immense, digging into the bones. You have a very interesting focus for a server, Orlov says in English, his voice a low growl meant for you and Anya to hear. His eyes bore into yours, searching for a crack, a flicker of fear. It makes me wonder what you are being paid to focus on. He is publicly accusing you, planting the seed in Anya's mind that you are a corporate spy for someone else. You meet his gaze without flinching. The pain in your wrist is a distant signal, overridden by years of training to ignore it. The man in the Budapest cellar resurfaces. The man who could withstand pain. The man who could mask his thoughts behind a wall of absolute stillness. My only concern is the quality of your service, sir, you reply, your voice a perfect monotone. He holds the grip for a second longer, then shoves your hand away in disgust. The act has the opposite effect he intends. For Anya, it is a final confirmation. This is not a businessman. This is a thug. The cruelty is not a negotiation tactic. It is his character. She looks at Orlov's hand, then at the red marks beginning to form on your wrist. The last vestiges of her willingness to compromise die in that moment. You retreat to your station, the phantom pressure of his grip still on your skin. The act is almost over. Orlov and Dmitri are finalizing their strategy in Russian, confident that their physical intimidation has won the day. Ona slomlena, Croft podtolknot ее, и она подпишет, Dmitri says. Она не рискнет устроить сцену. She is broken. Croft will give her the final push and she will sign. She won't risk making a scene. Orlov grins. Конечно, нет. В конце концов, она всего лишь женщина. Of course not. In the end, she is only a woman. You now have everything. The motive, the method, the conspiracy, the betrayal, and the raw, unvarnished prejudice that fuels it all. The stage is set. The actors are in place, and the ghost of Budapest is screaming in your ear for the curtain to rise. The gold-plated pen lies on the table, a silent testament to the immense pressure of the moment. It is the instrument of surrender. Anya Petrova stares at it, her face a pale, strained mask. Her dream, her life's work, is balanced on the knife's edge of this decision. Beside her, Julian Croft, the man she trusts, her financial guide for over a decade, leans in, his voice a soft, poisonous whisper. Anya, this is the moment, he murmurs, his tone pitched with faux sincerity. It's a compromise, yes, but it's the only viable path forward. Think of the hundreds of jobs we'll save at the manufacturing plants. Think of the good we can do with this capital. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. It's a masterful performance. He is using her own ethics against her, framing the capitulation as a noble sacrifice. You watch Orlov's eyes gleam with triumph. He sees the wavering in her posture, the exhaustion of the long fight. He believes he has won. He believes the woman is finally ready to break. Imagine this. You are standing on the edge of a cliff. Behind you is the burning wreckage of a life you barely survived. In front of you is a quiet, gray abyss of anonymity that you have mistaken for peace. For years, you have told yourself that non-engagement is a form of survival. To not act, to not interfere, is to not be hurt. But as you watch Anya Petrova's hand tremble, hovering just over that pen, you understand the flaw in your logic. The ghost of Budapest rises not as a memory of failure, but as a call to action. Mikhail did not die so you could hide. He died believing you would carry on the fight. You look at Orlov's smug, predatory face, and you realize that monsters don't change, only their locations do. The cellar in Budapest and this dining room are the same place, a space where power seeks to extinguish integrity. In that instant, a quiet, cold resolve crystallizes within you. You accept the consequences. The life you built as a waiter is an illusion. The man you were is the man you are. You are an agent of consequence, and it is time to act. You move from the wall. The motion is so fluid, so silent, it takes a moment for anyone to notice. You approach the table, not with a coffee pot or a water pitcher, but with nothing in your hands. You stop at Orlov's shoulder. He glances up, irritation flashing in his eyes, about to dismiss you. Before he can speak, you address him. Not in English. You speak in calm, formal, academic Russian. Господин Орлов, прошу прощения за вторжение. Я лишь хотел отметить, что ваш краснодарский диалект довольно редко можно услышать в Нью-Йорке. У него весьма отличительный характер. Mr. Orlov, forgive the intrusion. I merely wish to note that your Krasnodar dialect is quite rare to hear in New York. It has a very distinctive character. The effect is electric. It is not an accusation. It is a scalpel sliding between his ribs. You have not just revealed that you understand him, you have demonstrated a level of linguistic and cultural knowledge that is impossible for a simple waiter. You have identified his specific regional origin. You have just told him, in the clearest possible terms, I know exactly who and what you are. Orlov freezes, his mind racing. Who is this man? How is this possible? His aides, Dmitri and Sergei, stare at you as if you have just sprouted wings. Before he can recover, you pivot. You move toward Julian Croft, your expression still one of benign service. You look at Anya, but your words are aimed at the traitor. Ms. Petrova, Mr. Croft's financial advice has surely been invaluable tonight. You pause, then lean in as if to clear an imaginary crumb from the tablecloth beside him. In a voice just loud enough for the table to hear, you add, "Nonk, in some ancient cultures, the Voznagраждение предателя was considered the highest form of payment." You let the Russian phrase Voznagраждение предателя, the traitor's reward, hang in the air for a beat. Julian Croft turns the color of ash. His nervous smile dissolves. He understands. You know, Anya furrows her brow, the foreign words and Croft's visceral reaction creating a dissonant chord she can't yet decipher. "What did you say?" Orlov demands, his voice a low growl. You straighten up and face him fully. It is time to dismantle him. "I was just noting," you say in perfect English, "that some deals are not what they appear." You look at Anya. "Ms. Petrova, before you sign, perhaps you should ask Mr. Orlov to clarify his one-year staffing plan for your research and development team." Anya, seizing the lifeline you've thrown her, turns to Orlov. "An interesting question. Victor, you said my team was the heart of the company. Please, clarify your plan." "This is absurd," Orlov blusters. "This is a waiter." "He's a waiter who seems to know your regional dialect," Anya counters, her voice like ice. "And he's asked a valid question. What is the plan?" "We plan to integrate," Orlov stammers. "That's not what you said," you interject calmly. "You said, and I quote in translation, gut the entire research and development department first. Start with the senior engineers. Is that an inaccurate translation, Mr. Orlov?" Orlov is speechless. You press your advantage, turning the interrogation on the next weak link. "Mr. Croft," you say, your tone still maddeningly polite. "You assured Ms. Petrova that her intellectual property was the crown jewel of this deal. Can you elaborate on the safeguards in Section 7B that prevent Mr. Orlov from selling those patents to a third party?" Julian begins to sweat profusely. "They are standard safeguards, ironclad." "Are they?" you counter. "Because I distinctly heard Mr. Orlov state that his legal team has already found the loopholes to gain unilateral control of all patents within 6 months. Did you miss that part of the conversation, Mr. Croft? Or were you perhaps aware of it?" Anya's eyes snap to her CFO. The betrayal is beginning to dawn on her. "Julian, what is he talking about?" "He's lying! He's a spy!" Croft squeaks, his composure shattering. "A spy for whom?" you ask, gently. "The people you were about to betray?" You deliver the killing blow, looking directly at Anya. "Ms. Petrova, the reason Mr. Orlov is so confident about these loopholes is because Mr. Croft has been feeding his team your company's financial projections and legal vulnerabilities for the last 6 months. He is not on your side. He is on Mr. Orlov's payroll." "Prove it!" Croft shrieks, standing up so fast his chair topples over. You simply nod toward Orlov's aides. "Ask them. Ask them about the offshore account in the Caymans where Mr. Croft's signing bonus has already been deposited. Ask them about the executive position he was promised in the new mining venture. Every word is a hammer blow, shattering the carefully constructed reality of the room. But you have saved the most devastating truth for last. And you should know, Ms. Petrova, you say, your voice resonating with cold fury, that this was never about your renewable energy technology. This has all been a lie. You turn to Orlov. Tell her about the lithium, Victor. Tell her about the real prize. Anya looks at you confused. Lithium? The geological surveys for your Wyoming facility were falsified, you explain, your voice clear and authoritative. Your company is sitting on one of the largest untapped lithium deposits in North America. This deal was never a merger. It was a cover to acquire your land, shut down your green energy research, and begin a strip mining operation that will poison the groundwater for 3 states. Mr. Croft helped them forge the environmental reports to hide it from your board. The full, monstrous scope of the conspiracy is finally laid bare. It is not just corporate greed. It is a crime against the environment of epic proportions, facilitated by the man she trusted most. Julian Croft collapses back into a chair, broken. Orlov, for the first time in what is likely his entire adult life, looks well and truly defeated. He has been outmaneuvered, exposed, and humiliated by a man he dismissed as a soulless puppet. If you believe courage is choosing the hard right over the easy wrong, hit the comments. What would you do if you were Anya right now? Anya Petrova slowly pulls the contract toward her. Her face is a mask of cold, controlled fury. For a moment, you think she might rip it in half. Instead, she picks up the heavy gold pen. Orlov and his aides watch, confused, a wild, impossible hope flickering in their eyes. With a steady hand, Anya clicks the pen open. Then, she looks up at you, and across the wreckage of the deal, she gives you a slow, deliberate nod. The war is over. The execution is about to begin. The atmosphere in the room is frozen in a state of suspended shock. Julian Croft is a broken man, muttering to himself. Orlov's aides look like men waiting for a firing squad. And Victor Orlov himself, he is unnervingly, terrifyingly still. The initial shock has passed through him and burned away, leaving behind something far more dangerous. The cold, diamond-hard clarity of a predator who has just been wounded and is now preparing to kill. He has survived Politburo purges, rival oligarchs, and the collapse of an empire. A waiter will not be his undoing. He slowly, deliberately picks up his wine glass. He takes a sip. Then he begins to clap. The sound is soft at first, a slow, rhythmic clap. Clap, clap. That is infinitely more menacing than shouting. It is the sound of mockery, of admiration for a worthy opponent, of a game he has just decided to elevate to a new, more brutal level. Every eye is on him. "Bravo," he says, his voice a low, resonant purr. He sets the glass down and looks around the table, a faint, chilling smile playing on his lips. A truly spectacular performance, theatrical, emotional, full of righteous fury. You, he says, his icy gaze finally landing on you, are very, very good at your job. He pauses, letting the strange compliment hang in the air. But it is not the job you pretend to have. Anya, who had been holding the pen, ready to deliver her verdict, hesitates. Victor, the game is over. We have heard the truth. My dear Anya, Orlov says, his voice dripping with condescending pity, you have heard a version of the truth, a carefully crafted narrative designed for a specific emotional response. You have not yet heard the full story. He turns his full attention to you. Tell me, Mr. Adebayo, isn't that your name? Kalin Adebayo, formerly of the SVR's Foreign Intelligence Directorate, specialist in signals intelligence and linguistics, dishonorably discharged after let's call it a catastrophic operational failure in Budapest a decade ago. Am I missing anything? Imagine the feeling of your own history being weaponized against you. The fortress of anonymity you built for a decade has just been leveled to the ground. He knows who you are. The blood runs cold in your veins. How? Orlov smiles, sensing your shock. You see, Anya, when I am preparing to invest $4 billion into a company, I do not just perform due diligence on the assets. I perform it on everything. The CEO, the board, the CFO. He glances at the broken Julian Croft with disgust. And even the catering staff at the location of the final signing. A simple background check, a few quiet phone calls to old contacts in Moscow. It is amazing what one can learn. He is lying. He didn't know before tonight, but he is a master of improvisation, weaving a new reality from the threads of information he has just gleaned. He continues, his story so plausible, so perfectly constructed, it begins to infect the air with the logic of a nightmare. About 6 months ago, my security team flagged your CFO, Mr. Croft, as a potential risk. A man with significant personal debts and a fondness for gambling. I suspected he might be selling information. So, I decided to hire an outside contractor to get close to him, to monitor him. A man with a very specific set of skills. A man who could blend in, who could listen. A man like you, Mr. Adebayo. Your mind is reeling. He is twisting everything, reframing your investigation as his own. Kalin was my agent, Orlov declares to the stunned room. I paid him handsomely to work this event, to listen in on Mr. Croft and to confirm my suspicions. The information he has revealed tonight about Croft's betrayal, it is true. He was feeding me information. Kalin did his job. Anya is now completely lost, looking back and forth between you and Orlov. If that's true, then why this theater? Ah, Orlov says, his eyes gleaming, because this is where our brilliant but unstable agent went off script. You see, Mr. Adebayo's file mentioned issues, PTSD, paranoia, a deep-seated resentment of authority figures stemming from his disgrace in Budapest. He wasn't just content to expose the traitor. He saw an opportunity for a much bigger payday. He decided to blackmail us all. He fabricated this insane story about a mining operation, this environmental nonsense, to create a crisis so profound he could demand payment from both sides to make it go away. It is the perfect lie. It acknowledges the truths you've revealed, Croft's betrayal, your past, and wraps them in a larger fiction that makes you the villain. Your credibility, which moments ago was absolute, has been shattered. To Anya, you are no longer a brave whistleblower. You are a disgraced spy, a mercenary with a history of mental instability, a man playing a dangerous game for his own profit. The bond you had forged with her frays and snaps. You can see it in her eyes. The return of suspicion, the cold calculus of risk assessment. Who is the safer bet? The known shark or the unknown scorpion? That's not true, you say, your voice hoarse. But the denial sounds weak, pathetic, exactly what a guilty man would say. Isn't it? Orlov pulls out his phone. Here are the payment records from my security subsidiary to an account in your name for consulting services. He doesn't mention the payments he made to Croft, only the ones to you. And here, he adds, is a copy of your SVR discharge papers, citing psychological instability and insubordination. This man is not a hero, Anya. He is a damaged, dangerous extortionist. The restaurant manager, Philip, who has been hovering in the doorway, sees his chance to curry favor with the billionaire. He's always been strange, he says to Orlov. Quiet, intense. I should have known. Orlov gives a curt nod. He presses a button on his phone. My personal security team is on its way up. They will handle this. Philip, I suggest you call the NYPD. Tell them you have a man in your establishment attempting to extort your guests. This is it. The final, crushing move. You are not just being fired. You are being framed. The doors to the private rooms swing open. It is not the restaurant's security this time. It is two men, flawlessly dressed in tailored suits with the hard bodies and dead eyes of ex-special forces. They move with a silent, lethal efficiency that you recognize instantly. They are professionals. They flank you, their presence an overwhelming physical threat. One of them pats you down, his hands firm, expertly searching for weapons. He finds nothing but your wallet and keys, which he contemptuously dumps on a service tray. Get him out of here, Orlov commands. They grab your arms, twisting them behind your back in a move designed to inflict maximum pain with minimum visible struggle. You are a trained agent. You could fight back, but you know it's a losing game. It would only validate Orlov's claim that you are violent and unstable. You allow yourself to be manhandled, your dignity stripped away layer by layer. You are dragged from the room through the hushed, elegant back hallways of the restaurant. You pass the kitchen staff, who stare with a mixture of fear and pity. You, their quiet, solid professional colleague, are being frog-marched out like a common criminal. As they push you toward the final service exit that leads to a dark, rain-slicked alley, you look back one last time. Through a small porthole window in the door, you can see into the dining room. You see Orlov, standing beside Anya, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. You see Julian Croft being led away by Orlov's other men, and you see Anya. She is standing perfectly still, her face pale, her expression unreadable. She is not signing the contract, but she is not helping you. She is watching you be destroyed. The door opens and the cold, damp air of the alley hits you. The wail of a distant siren grows closer. The NYPD, you have failed. Your attempt at redemption has led you to this, alone, discredited, and about to be swallowed by the very system you once served. All is lost. The alley is a cold, damp canyon of brick and steel. Rain begins to fall, slicking the asphalt, blurring the distant city lights. The wail of approaching sirens grows louder, a mournful symphony heralding your final defeat. You are pressed against the cold, wet brick by Orlov's men. Your last gambit failed. Your sacrifice, meaningless. You are no longer an agent, no longer even a waiter. You are a ghost, about to be exorcised by a system you can no longer outrun. The service door clicks open. Light spills into the alley, silhouetting a figure. It is Anya Petrova. She steps out into the rain, her expensive heels clicking on the grimy pavement. She ignores Orlov's men and walks directly toward you. Her face is unreadable, a mask of cold composure. This is it. She has come to deliver the final verdict, to tell you she has chosen the devil she knows. This is your last second on the board. You have one move left. It is not a move of strategy. It is a leap of blind faith into a dead past. You lock eyes with her, and with the last of your strength, you speak the long-dead code phrase in a low, clear voice. Солнце стояние зимой приносит холодный свет. The winter solstice brings a cold light. Orlov's men tense, not understanding the words but sensing the shift in the air. Anya stops. The mask on her face does not change, but something in her eyes does. A flicker. Not of confusion, but of ice-cold recognition. She turns her head slightly toward Orlov's guards. In flawless, commanding Russian, she gives an order. Ostavte nas. Nemedlенно. Leave us. Immediately. The guards hesitate, looking back toward the door where Orlov now stands, watching. But there is a quality in her voice, an absolute authority that predates money, that speaks of a different kind of power. They release you and take 2 steps back. Anya walks forward until she is inches from you. The sirens are deafening now as the first NYPD squad car skids to a halt at the mouth of the alley. She looks you in the eye, and the businesswoman vanishes completely, replaced by someone you knew a lifetime ago in another world. In a voice that is nothing but ice and steel, she gives the countersign. Я думала, что все агенты программы «Зимнее солнце» погибли в Budapest. I thought all agents from the Winter Sun program died in Budapest. The world stops. The police are approaching. But Anya simply turns, reaches into her clutch, and presents a small, discreet ID folder to the lead officer, who stops dead in his tracks. She turns to face the stunned Viktor Orlov, who is just now realizing the catastrophic nature of his mistake. You didn't just insult a waiter, Viktor. You threatened a former SVR deep cover agent in front of his old handler. She looks back at you, the ghost of a commander in her eyes. Welcome back to the field, comrade. We have a lot to discuss.